Welcome to the stage, Mr. Stephen Green.
Hi guys, in this quick video I'm going to show you a couple of techniques of how you can make some money. So maybe right now you are sat there and you want a change in career, or maybe you've always wanted to get into property, but it's that old thing, isn't it? You've got to have a lot of money to get into property for your deposits. But I'm going to tell you that's not actually true. So my name's Stephen Green, and through this video I'm going to take you through 3 techniques that I use myself that you can use off the back of this video as well. So 3 techniques that you can use and take away where you can get started in property and you don't actually need any money. And I know it probably sounds unbelievable, but I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about in these videos. So the first one is I'm going to talk about bridging finance. Now you might be thinking, what the hell is bridging finance? Bridging finance is a type of finance and it's a little bit like having a high interest credit card. Now if you use it in the right way, then you can cover all of your costs and you can actually buy property without using any money. So I'm going to give you an example of that now. So let's say, for example, a property was worth 100k, so £100,000. So a property is worth £100,000. Now, if you can negotiate that property down below the deposit amount, you can then use bridging finance and we can get all the money back out. So if, for example, we could negotiate a £100,000 house, so you would go on to Rightmove, you would go on to sold prices, and you see how much they're selling for on the street. So let's say there's 10 houses, and the average that they're selling for is around about £100,000. And one of your friends, who his mate in the pub has told you that somebody that they know needs to sell the house quite quickly, that they're in a bit of a distressed state, and if they can't get rid of that property, they're going to end up being bankrupt, and it's going to be a lot worse for them than selling the house a little bit less. So these people are happy to take £70,000 for this property. So it's worth 100,000 and they're happy to take 70,000. Now if we can find a bridging company, and the bridging company will loan 75% of market value. So I'm going to write these 2 things down. We have PP, which is purchase price, and we have MV, which is market value. So the purchase price would be 70,000 and the market value is 100,000. So if we can get a bridging company and they will loan 75% LTV, you might be thinking, what does LTV mean? That means loan to value. That means the banks will put in 75% of the value of the asset. So if the bridging company will give us 75% of the market value, 75% of 100 grand, I'm asking you to test your maths here, is exactly, it's £75,000. So they will loan us £75,000, meaning we've got our money to buy that property outright. So that is technique number 1. Okay, technique number 2. This one is called deferred consideration. So what I'm doing here, it's a little bit like when the big Barker and Stonehouse, for example, and they've potentially got a bit of an offer on, and you go in and you can buy furniture, but you don't pay for it straight away, you pay for it over a 4-year period. Well, you can actually do that very thing within property, and not many people know this. They think that you've got to have a deposit, you've got to pay it up front. Well, it's not actually true. So if you can find a property that's unencumbered, which means it's got no debt to it at all, then again we can get creative with that. So I've actually just done this myself, so I'll actually show you on a deal that I've just done. So I've just agreed on a project. It's a large development, it's got a couple of acres, it's got about 15 tenants in there, which are garages, car mechanics and stuff like that. So I've agreed 625,000 for this particular asset, and it's producing just over 10% yield. So the guy's producing 72,000 per annum, which is what he clears off it. So 72k is what he makes after all expenses. So I've gone to the guy and I've said to this guy, right, John, how much do you actually owe on this asset? And John said to me that he owes £50,000. So we only have to remove the lender, and then we can do something really creative. So what I said to him is, well, look, how about this? The property's been sat on the market for quite a while. So how about I give you 150k now, and I'll pay you the rest in 6 months' time. So I take over the property on land registry, it gets registered in my name. He can now pay the £50,000 that he owes, so the property's got no debt on it at all, and he takes £100,000 straight away. I take over the asset. Now this asset's clearing, as we can see, it's clearing about £6,000 per month. So this 150,000 here, I've borrowed that off an investor. So I've borrowed 150,000 and I'm paying 1% per month. So I'm paying 1,500 per calendar month for loaning that 150 grand. But I'm clearing straight away more than £6,000 a month here. So I can actually pay my investor this amount of money, and I'm left with around about £4,500 myself as well. Now, what I can do here, I can get creative. So with this strategy, I now owe the rest of the £625,000. So the way that I do it is there's a number of ways I can get an uplift on this valuation here. So I can do it by increasing the strength of the leases. I can do it by increasing the amount of the leases, so the amount that the tenants are paying. And it's also got a chunk of land with it as well. So if I put planning on that, I can also get an uplift. So there's a number of different ways we can do this. So in 6 months' time, using the strategy which I taught you in video 1, I can get bridging finance, and if I can get an uplift of this price to say £1 million, I can loan against that at say 70%. If I can get 70% of £1 million, I can now pay off that entire amount as well. So that one's called deferred consideration. And you can literally pay that however you want. You can either do it by getting finance, or I could, if I wanted, I could agree with this guy to pay him. If I was making 72,000 a year, then what I could say to him is, if you let me structure the deal this way, I'll pay you 72,000 a year for 10 years, meaning he would now get a total of 720,000. So he's getting more than what he's asking for, and I pay him out of his own profits. So I'm not actually putting a penny in the deal. That's 2. There's 1 left. Okay, this one I call an assisted sale. So an assisted sale is where you're helping a buyer and a seller together. So we're going to say Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Smith's the old lady. She's got a property, and it's quite run down, it's quite dated, and she's looking for £80,000 for it. So she's looking for £80,000. Now this property is very dated, it needs around about £20,000 worth of works doing to it. But if we done the works, it would be worth 120,000. So she's looking for 80. It needs £20,000 worth of works. It would be worth 120,000 once it's all redone up, got a new kitchen, new bathroom and things like that. So Mrs. Smith can't get rid of this property because everybody who's looking at it is just saying, even though it's a cheap price, it's just too much work and they're all walking away from it. So what we can say to Mrs. Smith is, we will do an assisted sale with her. So we say to Mrs. Smith, look, I'll come along, I've got £20,000, I'll do the works on the property, and then I'll give you 25%, so you can agree whatever you want, I'll give you 25% of any of the profits. So Mrs. Smith's looking for that. We don't actually buy it, there's a contract that goes in place. We put the £20,000 into the property, which means that's now 100,000. It's worth 120,000. So we're going to say it sells for the 120k, and we agree with Mrs. Smith that she gets 25% of any profit. So she wants 80, we've spent 20 on it, 100 grand, there's £20,000 profit. Mrs. Smith now gets 5,000 of this because she gets 25%. So she's now not got 80,000, she's got 85,000. So she's well happy, she got an extra 5,000 and you made 15,000 in the process, and that's called an assisted sale. And that's how, guys, you can get started in property without using any of your money. Now, I know with this strategy, you might be saying, well, you had to put £20,000 in, but another way you can do this as well is if you said to your builder, if they did the works up front and you paid them an extra 10% at the back end, you could pay them another 2 grand out of the 15 you made, and then you've done no money in the deal at all. And that's 3 techniques that I use, how you can get started right now in property. I'm Stephen Green, thanks for watching the video.